G'day, welcome to Inforunners. I'm XQ, joined today by the Astropub and Algrid. Just on our RSI day, spent probably 10-15 minutes going over this with a bunch of folks, going through it all, and we're going to do it again with you guys and let you know our thoughts and whether you should get one or not. And I don't know, that really comes, that's a personal taste at the end of the day, but let's kick it over the browser and get started. What's your first impressions, guys, for the RSI Strata?
Go ahead, Al.
I've got Chip's music running through my head.
Okay. All right, well,
sorry, it's the Arrastra. We have to say the Arrastra, but it's going to always be the Arrastrata because it's X, and that's how this works.
Sorry.
Or the RSI Arrastra.
Arrastra.
Who are weebs.
As YouTube said, when you look up how to say it, it says Arrastra. Arrastra. That's a robot saying it, but yeah, Arrastra.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It will ever be stuck with the Eric Estrada kind of name in my head.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so my hot takes then, since you guys don't want to start, I'll start then, fine.
Go for it.
I see the Orion as the space stable platform that basically goes out and basically is just constantly munching as that stable, you know, not really going to where this is a lot more exploratory. This is going for the you know, the big chunks, and it's flying around a lot more, trying to do what the, you know, not those big stable rocks. And obviously the massive advantage it has over the Orion, it is clearly the best planetary miner we have. And I think it as someone said in the chat, I believe it was Lemming said, it's the safest. You are not outside the ship hanging out like a mole. You are not on your own like in a prospector. But also, yes, there are more running costs, but it's also got better living amenities, and it has got so much cargo. It's kind of ridiculous. And the more I look at that refinery, the more that refinery does look like it's fairly large. I really wish they told us what size it was, but again, like when we looked at it, our grid, it does physically look smaller. But I'm wondering if they're not showing us everything. Maybe there's some stuff in the walls, so to speak, that we're not seeing. And it does talk about being
below.
Yeah, well, it does talk about being really automated as well. So, yeah, that's my initial thoughts.
I was. That would be. I mean, that's just my initial thoughts was the same. Just basically that it is the king of all rounder mining. This is something, and one of the things I will point out is that it says 5 crew, but we kind of did some looking at it and talking about it. And you can see has doubled up a lot of the different the responsibilities. So like it's obvious that the people who are doing the mining remote turrets can also switch over to the combat remote turrets, and the co-pilot is like the tractor beam operator in the back and the mining operator in the front, and so like there's definitely some double up
kind of like
in the front, and then of course
kind of like battle stations, and they just
they have to switch over. But and then your what is it, the refinery operator is also it doubles as your engineer. But that means also that if you want to do ground operations, you need to have crew that is going to be doing the ground operations, which will be separate from the main crew. So it's one of those, like, it's likely a more like depending on what you're using. So if you're using a Rock DS, then you're using 4 people for that, or if you 2 at least, so 5 to 8, 5 to 9. So
but it does talk about the refinery there being fairly, kind of hands off and automated and stuff like that as well. There was a couple of marketing things in here that kind of shit me. I'm just going to point out. So where they call it the RSI's flagship deep space mining rig, which is just a very fancy way of saying, look, they can't say it's the flagship miner because that's the Orion, but just spitting like the prospector is the flagship solo miner. Do you know what I mean? Like it's total marketing speak. So yeah, just be careful with some of the things they say there.
Very Orwellian.
Yeah.
Speak there.
The other thing that they kind of do that kind of leans into that refinery thing is the 512 SCU of cargo. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's the Hercules that has like 572, or is it the Caterpillar? But that's the type of cargo you're talking about. That's a lot of cargo.
Yeah. It's the Hercules. I think both of them do. They both have like 500 plus.
512 plus 64 is pretty much right on the money with what the Caterpillar's got. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So that's the Caterpillar plus all the mining shit. That's kind of nuts. And this thing is slightly shorter than the Caterpillar at 116 meters. Oh, sorry, and the Caterpillar's like 126, I think, off the top of my head. So yeah, it is like 10 meters shorter, but it's obviously wider. But yeah, from what I can gather, and you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong here, with the way they talk about this being refined materials for 512, that internal 64 must be the working cargo, so the cargo that you've collected before you refine it. And it appears to us to look like it's got, if I go over to this, Paul, I'll let you talk about this because you kind of said this a lot more elegantly than me. But yeah, explain those little white bar things. So I'll point it with the mouse.
So those bars are the loading and unloading. So those are the things that'll actually like dump the refined ore into those crates. And if you look at the image of when it's landed, you can see like a little lights on the sides, like right where you see like
back up here, the land one, this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, you see the one where the lights are, like the big lights are right there. You can see some of those, like it almost looks like the clamps are moved down. So that's where you can like actually remove the external cargo and put it somewhere else. So it's external, but it's external in the sense that it's stored externally with its own kind of like protection. And then you remove the external like clamps, then you can pull them out and like start dispensing them for sale and stuff like that.
It does feel a little bit whole seriesy, doesn't it? Like it's like you put it off on the side and it just hangs like on, but it's hard to get access to because you're just storing it for when you get back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole series with a shell around it. Is what it is. It's got this kind of like light shell to protect it. So
it kind of harkens back to the Orion's storage of its modules as well. So
yeah.
Which was very Polish in its original concept. So
I think it was like stuck around the engines, right? They were just like stuck to the engines on the outside. So it definitely is when they said that they took inspiration from the Orion and the modern RSI styling, it's very much the case of that RSI Orion mixed with like say the Galaxy. So
yeah. So it's got the three mining lasers are actually a size above the moles. And a size above the Odyssey, believe it or not. The Odyssey has only got a size 2 like the Mole. This has a size 3. And if you caught ISC yesterday, I almost wish I had a picture up here. They appeared to have 2 laser heads on them as well. Now, I don't know how that translates out. How do you have 2 mining lasers and all of a sudden you're a size 3? Does that mean they've all got 2 mining heads, or have they all just got 2 size 2s? Like, so there's still more questions for me than answers. With a lot of this stuff.
I think it goes into what you were saying yesterday, though. It's that ability to rotate your type of mining head so you can actually just better do the job you want to do. But it could be something else. But that seems to make sense to me.
Now let's hope there's two size 3s on each head then. Again, someone was mentioning the tractor beam is basically only looks like it's good for loading and unloading at the back. So it's not really for loading around the outside of it. That seems to be more of an automated thing with those arms. And it's not, as you said, Paul, tractor beams for moving rock seems to be a little bit of a dead thing. You think that's a dead thing? Okay.
I think it's a dead thing. I think until CIG has a way of actually dealing with moving asteroids that matters, they're gonna steer away from it because it's a physics issue. It's a nightmare because like those rocks will be orbiting or will be in locations. So if they actually bump into each other, they're gonna start causing chain reactions, and then that causes the actual like stuff to move out of orbit, and then they'll move into different locations. And while a lot of people are like, that's cool though, and it's like, yeah, but that's also they have to track all of that, and then they have to store all of that, and then then it has to. It's just a nightmare for like dealing with aesthetics and keeping things where they think they should be in terms of that sci-fi.
Or Hurston, or
and the first thing is
so people can watch it burn.
Yeah, and people are just going to start throwing them at the planets because they can. And the problem is unless they actually have damage, what's going to happen is those rocks are just going to bounce off the ground like limply. They're just going to bounce and then roll around a little bit. That'll be it. They won't do any damage other than if you got kind of hit by them like a falling vehicle of some kind. But they're not going to have massive explosions. You're not going to see any kind of things like that. So as a result, I think CIG is aesthetically and gameplay wise just not going to let you do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so size 3s across the board, which puts it very much in the
Yep.
large territories. Nothing really special or unspecial there, so to speak. Yeah, it's to me, it's the things that they're not saying. For me, like the way they didn't tell us the size of the refinery, they've left things very vague. If you were going to double down and try to justify the price of this thing now, because this is the old price of the Orion, and now the Orion's only $75 more, I can't get behind this, knowing the Orion's like 3 times the bloody size and it's only $75 more. I think they're relying on the new shiny price. Like me and Algrid literally said, well, Algrid, I said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you agreed with me. We said 475 because that was right in the middle of the two prices to 575.
Yep.
That's what we said, didn't we? And
Yep.
it came right smack being in at that higher end. And Paul, I know you said when you walked in today, 575 was, yeah, okay,
550 to 600 is what I said.
Okay,
and so
cool.
575 made sense. Yeah.
So we're all correct in our kind of thing. We just gave a bigger range than you, but it just surprises me that they put it that high. And I think that's kind of a bit cheeky, to be honest, considering it's 75. It's the same thing as we said in RSI. If you watched the video before, it's the Perseus to the Polaris all over again. It's $75, and you just get such a bigger ship for your money. And a lot of people worry about crew size, but for me, it's just earn down and get an Arrastra, and you've got best of both worlds. Then you've got the best planetary, and you've got the best space miner. You're done. I don't know. Can you justify this at all, Algrid, to anyone? And Paul, I'll ask you the same question. Like, can you justify this over the Orion, or for you guys, is it's like
I can
earn down? Yeah, please go nuts.
The question for me is, do I buy it outright, which is what everyone expects that I'll do because I'm crazy, or will I see you up to it?
Paul,
and
I mean,
you said that's a nasty price.
So, if you're a miner, if your profession is a miner, you're doing mining right now, and you're like, I love mining, I want to do mining from now until the end of the game. It's my game. Buy the Arrastra, because it is the king of general mining. Like, Orion is better, but it cannot do ground mining, period, at all. So, like, this, and who knows if we're going to get like a larger mining vehicle in the future. It's something that would be able to fit in a Arrastra. Like, instead of having two rocks, you might have like a driller or something like that. That's like the size of a Nova tank. You know, that allows you to do multiple like drill laser beams and stuff like that. Gives you a little bit more of or carry more cargo at the end. Like, we don't know the future of that sort of ground vehicle mining as well.
I would agree with you on the all-rounder. I think it is the best all-rounder of the
and that's
would you agree with
the price? That's the reason for the price, is that it's such an all-rounder. Like, it is literally the best miner. Not that you shouldn't use other ones, but it's like, it is the goal for most people. Is going to be the goal for most people who are looking for, I'm going to mine every day, all day with my crew of friends.
Let me ask you this then. Would it be, if you can only have one, get the Orion and earn down, or do you think you're still best to get this and earn up to the Orion?
This and earn up. The reason why is because Orion limits you. It limits you to space. Like, even though you can get a lot of usage out of it, because it limits you, it limits your gameplay opportunity. And CIG has been pretty clear that some minerals, even some very valuable minerals or metals or whatever, minables, will be only available on ground and the ground, or in caves, or in like ground nodes.
They have also said inside the middle of asteroids, because I remember them talking about the prospector when they had the underground mining stuff, and they said the prospector could come up and drill specifically into the asteroid and just take out the most valuable stuff, where the Orion would have to go through and just eat everything. That's true, but I do think that when you leave out that ground mining option, because you can still do that in space with the Arrastra. Because when you leave out that ground mining option, it just becomes one of those like, you're leaving out. Let's be like conservative and say between 15 and 25% of the gameplay when it comes to mining, and that's a lot.
It's like being an FPS player and ignoring underground facilities.
Yes, basically. Only doing bases or whatever, like
They didn't really show us if it had the VTOLs, like at the front there, like the
Nope.
Connie and that. That was something I wanted to see, and obviously I want to know a little bit more about underground mining because they've confirmed it, then kind of questioned it, and now it's all up in the air again. So again, we'll just have to wait till later. Hopefully, some of that stuff comes up in the Q&A. But yeah,
I'm going to guess that the VTOLs.
I won't hold my breath though.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the VTOLs are there because they looked on the ones we originally saw at the front, certainly. And we've got pictures of it landed. So a ship like that is going to need VTOLs of some form to help it land. That's my thought process. And
makes sense too, being
that's an RSI type of thing. So, but as to ground mining, yeah,
it's up in the air again. We'll see. Agrid, what would you like to hear about from people in the comments below?
Yeah, what is the minimum crew or human crew that you think this would work with? I actually think this kind of does run into the head, go over the head of the mole. The mole, you ideally it's perfect for 3 crew. One person can do it, but you kind of get the trouble going up and down and all the rest of it. The number of mining turrets on this versus the mole is the same, but this just seems more versatile. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, Astro or Paul, what would you like to hear from people in the comments below?
I want to hear if they think that what we were talking about here, does the Orion just kind of supplant all of these? Is there even a reason to get the Arrastra if the Orion exists? So
I think that's what I'd like to hear too, because me and Paul probably disagree on that, and that's totally fine. I've got no problem with that as usual. But for me, it's the Orion. It's just sheer volume. Like, you cannot contest with, like, yes, it's probably not getting the valuable stuff, and I did kind of talk about that. I think this is going to have to go out and explore a bit and scan a bit more, but it can hit those really big paydays where an Orion's just chewing through so much, it's just making it on volume. Again, though, you'll probably need a few more people for that as well. So there's pros and cons to both. I think the Orion will probably be a more stable payday, but it won't be as big as when this thing pays off. So it'll probably be, this is more like a burst pay, where that's more of just a flat, consistent. Yeah. All right, well, yeah, let us know your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And thank you to all those extra people that went the extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video. He's been Astropub. Oh, where can people find you, by the way, Paul, on the interviews?
YouTube.com/The Astropub Live, YouTube.com/The Astrohistorian for lore stuff, and YouTube or Twitch.tv/The Astropub for my live streams.
I will also, yeah, just occasionally. I'll also be doing Best in Show tomorrow with Expat, because these guys are off teaching, so she's going to help me tomorrow. And then on the final day, we'll have that CCU guide out to you guys, and Algrid and Space are going to be helping me with that one. All right, with that then, he's been Astropub, he's been Algrid.
He's been Execute. Now we're out of here.
See you in the next one. Bye.